What's something cool you recently learned about? Squirrels can acquire terminal velocity while plummeting to the ground and survive 80% of the time. Rodents can't vomit. This is exactly why rat poison works. They can't vomit up the poison. That vets can transplant feathers to birds and will harvest flight and tail feathers from bird who didn't make it and donate to another bird in need like an organ donor. The things they teach in the military. What do you think happened in the Air Force when they got their wings? How do king big wolves are? Honestly, why did I never know this before? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Exclamation mark. This was my exact reaction to seeing a moose. My grandpa told me once that a moose is an ugly horse, and wow, I didn't realize they were really that big until I came across one backpacking. No one who was born blind has ever gone on to develop schizophrenia. Researchers are investigating how congenital blindness may protect people from developing the condition. The shower water on Alcatraz was intentionally kept very hot. This is so prisoners won't get used to cold water and be able to swim to shore if they escaped. Compared to Earth, there is a huge ratio of heavy water in comets and other bodies in the outer solar system. Like, a lot of heavy water. The origin of the word happiness is from the Middle English hap, which has to do with chance and possibility, as in happenstance or perhaps. So happiness was originally about the feeling of good fortune / getting lucky, the chance that something could or could not occur, and then it goes your way. Happiness is that specific feeling when something that could have gone horribly wrong goes amazing well. For the last 50 plus years, every submarine and aircraft carrier built by the US Navy has been powered by nuclear reactors. What's more, the aircraft carriers have a 50-year service life and only need to be refueled one time. There has also never been a nuclear-related accident on board these ships. 2 subs have sank, but not because of a failure in the propulsion system. Carriers are wild. During natural disasters, they leave and pull up offshore and plug in a power cable to act as a power plant for large portions of a country. Dang, we've had colossal power banks in the ocean this whole time. Female seagulls are a different color than males. Only seagulls can see the color difference. This is probably a dumb question, but if only seagulls can tell the difference, how was it discovered that they have a different color? I know bats have extra rods and cones in their eyes that allow them to see colors beyond our range. A lot of bats can see ultraviolet light, so if you shine a black light on them, you should be able to see the difference. A lot of plain birds look crazy under black light. The Earth is slowly decelerating, 17 milliseconds slower per 100 years. In 140 million years, the time in a day will be increased to 25 hours. Oh cool. That will be right before I get my Xbox Series X. Just about a day before Cyberpunk comes out. Windows plus SHIFT plus S to get a screen capture on Windows. Cats get the majority of their liquids from what they eat. It's why you don't often see them drinking water like dogs do. It's true, except for my idiot cat, who refuses to eat anything but dry food. So she's the thirstiest bitch in the world. Has her own little water fountain, but she still sticks her paws in every own's water glasses. They don't seem to see water, like, even in a water bowl or cat fountain. Gotta stick those paws in to find out if there is anything in there. Makes me wonder whether they think fish low-key fly. The mythological reason why our galaxy is called the Milky Way. Basically, Heracles, whom the Romans called Hercules, was a bastard of Zeus, and as a result Zeus' wife Hera hated his guts. Her shenanigans caused Heracles' mother to abandon him as a baby, so Athena found him and brought him to Hera. Not recognizing Heracles, the goddess took pity on him and nursed him. But Heracles was a toothy baby, and when he bit down, Hera pushed him back, because her milk splattered onto the sky and created the Milky Way. This didn't help Heracles with the whole Hera hating his guts thing. BTW. Galaxy also stems from galactic, lactose. Here in the UK, we have a chocolate bar called Galaxy because it's made with milk chocolate. Galaxy literally means milk, so it's basically milky milk. When cooking vegetables, fat grow underground. Potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips should start off in cold water. Vegetables fat grow above the ground. Greens, chickpeas. Con. Should be placed into already boiling water. Apparently a golden rule, but only just found out about it. Wombats and some other Australian animals have biofluorescent fur. It glows under up light. Don't wombats also poop cubes? Yeah. I think it's to stop the poop rolling and keep it in a specific spot. Female spotted hyenas pee, give birth and have sex with their clitorises. This large clitoris allows the females, that are larger than the males, to actually choose the male. They can't be raped because of their pseudo-penis, so the social hierarchy of spotted hyenas has females at the top. Sir, this is a wonders. That in 2007, Rockstar Games allowed fans to call a number and rant about what they thought was wrong with America. The best calls were featured on a radio station in Grand Theft Auto 4th. Lol. That talk station? Cool. Time to re-listen. It's illegal in Switzerland to have just one guinea pig, because guinea pigs are social animals like humans. In many places, that applies to horses. You're not allowed to have just one. I have one horse, one guinea pig, and their offspring I call Gorsey Higgs. Lego is the #1 tire producer in the world. Museums are struggling to keep the appropriate humidity levels for their collections because of the lack of foot traffic and people breathing in the buildings due to COVID. Phoebe the perfect location for the next anti-mask protest. On December 21st, 2020 Jupiter and Saturn will align such that you can see them together in the same telescope, and even with the naked eye. It's called the Great Conjunction. Mike the headless chicken. He survived 18 months after his head was cut off. It was actually her face that was cut off. The brain was still there. That must have been a terrible experience for that chicken. I heard that most of the brain was cut off, but it left enough of the brain stem for it to live. Otters have tiny skin pockets to collect their favorite stones. Humans just have a booty pocket for similar shenanigans. Australian shepherds aren't from Australia. It's true. The best/most ethical breeders are located in Arizona, weirdly enough, and only the criminal ones get sent to Australia. Back in the old days, sometimes the guillotine would malfunction. It would only do half the job. They would have to set it up and do it again. Nearly Headless Nick. I think Nearly Headless Nick was killed with an axe. Potatoes were brought to Europe in the 16th century. What's a potato? That Volkswagen actually sells sausages and actually sells more sausages than it sells cars. Yeah, so their cars might have fake emission test scores, but they're not the worst thing they sell. The door, sir. I will show you to it. Cancer is named after its appearance, after it had spread in the body, resembling a crab. Crabs were called that first and the word stems from Greek, if I recall correctly. Also, there is a phenomenon called carcinization, which is the evolving into a crab-like shape, even for non-crabs. This has happened to many different kind of crustaceans, crabs being one type of crustacean. The word cancer is Latin, but they got it from the Greek carcinus, which the Greeks used to refer to a crab, a tumor, and the constellation. So you are correct. Carcinus is where we get the modern carcinoma. There are certain species of wasp that pollinate figs and then may end up dead inside the fruit. They do end up inside. Many of them. Up to 20 in one fruit. But those are tiny wasps and very specific species. They've got really weird reproduction cycle that involves the fruit. But fear nothing. Figs produce enzymes that dissolves the wasps, so really they are not present in ripe fruit. Thanks. I hate it. That the dog name Fido comes from the Latin fidelis, which in English means loyal. That's pretty cool, I guess. My rib pains are because I'm skinny. Horseshoe crab's closest relative in the animal kingdom is the scorpion. They've existed for over 445 million years. Their blood is blue and can sell for $15,000 a liter because various properties make it extremely valuable to medical science. I was just reading about this. Their blood contains stuff called limulus amoebocyclizate, LAO, which causes the blood to clot whenever it meets any foreign pathogen whatsoever. Very useful for detecting bacterial contaminants and things like drugs, vaccines, or anything that comes into contact with human blood. It's a problem actually, since it's so valuable. $600 .000 horseshoe crabs are bled of 30% of their blood before being tossed back into the sea, and people just realized they have trauma that's affecting their reproduction cycle. So now scientists are looking for a synthetic replacement so they can stop stressing out all the horseshoe crabs. Really interesting stuff. Triscuit is short for electricity biscuit, and it was the first cracker ever made with electricity. Oh. I always just thought it was because they were the sequel to the biscuit. That the mask Michael wears in the movie Halloween was based off William Shatner's face. They just bought an already existing William Shatner mask from a Halloween store, painted it, and stretched it out. They didn't make the mask look like him on purpose. Robert McNamara was rejected as a military pilot in World War II due to poor eyesight, but he went on to become Secretary of Defense under Kennedy and Johnson. His sister Peg, however, did become a B-24 bomber pilot in the war. She was a member of the Women Air Force Service Pilots. The WASPs were civilian pilots who volunteered to fly military aircraft in non-combat missions to free up male pilots. You know when you put mashed potatoes on your plate and you press the spoon down in the middle to make a hole to fill with gravy? That's called a Tata crater. A gamma ray burst, which is a brief, highly intense explosion of gamma ray radiation in outer space, might have been responsible for the Mbut extinction event at the end of the Ordovician period 450 million years ago. I wonder what brief means. Like 1 second? 10 minutes? Would it engulf the entire planet or just one side of it? Probably 30 seconds. On the side of the planet facing the GRB, it would have wrecked the atmosphere for anything the other half. The most prevailing theory of the source of a GRB is, when a massive star goes nova it emits a truly massive beam of energy at its poles. In fact, it is the most energetic event that occurs in the known universe. So if the poles of a massive star that goes nova is aimed at us, or rather, where we'll be, in however many thousands of years it will take to reach us, we'll be hit by one. And it's impossible for there to be any warning, because they travel at the speed of light. This can actually happen. It's a real thing. If you have a blockage in your intestines, there's no way for the feces to get out of the body, but through the esophagus. You're basically puking your own feces. That Australia is taking hit right now, and air conditioners are amazing. Usain Bolt has never ran a mile. Being a sprinter, it's normal to not run longer distances, but to not even do a mile is just crazy. He apparently did do a fun run 5k once, but that was more of a jog than a run as it was just for charity. Usain could have easily set the 400 meters record if he focused and wasn't so fixated on the 100 and 200 meters. Made sense in his prime. But after the 2012 Olympics you gotta know that you're not getting any faster, and it's time to explore other options. I'd think having world records, or at least gold medals in the 3 main sprinting events would be a great goal to have. His OR is 45.28, which means he probably ran it once without training for it, and didn't even really try. There's a reason why speedrunners and endurance runners look completely different. The saguaro cactus is actually a tree, not a cactus, and in its natural habitat, takes anywhere from 50 to 100 years to grow arms. Baking soda and lemon juice can be used to clean anything. Okay, nearly anything. You can't wash the filth off mankind with those. Nothing can. Same with diluted vinegar. That shit cleans everything and takes the smell out too. Eater I use both frequently because I have guinea pigs and reptiles. Need something non-toxic but effective and good at deodorizing. Clicking on this thread helped me learn something cool, so all of the ones mentioned here. Thank you to everybody for giving me +1 brain cells with each of your information. The last sense you lose before you die is the ability to hear. So if you see someone dying, comfort them. They can still hear you. Tell them everything is gonna be okay, even if they don't know you. It's nice to have a friend there to comfort you even after death. That I cry when I'm very stressed out. Good. Let the stress out so it doesn't consume you. Nothing better than a post-cry nap. That we have more bacterias in our body than human cells. Raccoons are very intelligent creatures. They are slightly less intelligent than monkeys, but more intelligent than cats. Orcas have complex societies. Honestly, animals such as elephants, crows, certain apes, orcas, and other dolphins, etc. should really be treated with a higher regard and given more rights, as these are all non-human pets. When you tune an old TV to static, part of that static is background radiation from the Big Bang. The intricate life cycle of the monarch butterfly. I bought a few milkweed at the start of the pandemic and also learned the life cycle. It was amazing. Succulents and ferns need two completely different environments. Two completely different everything. Really? I'm teaching myself how to read hieroglyphs, and man, that language is nuts. A language where symbols don't just convey meaning. They also have an aesthetic function. Is wild. You can read it left to right or right to left, and the way to tell is to find a symbol with a face, an animal or person, and they will always be facing towards the start of the word. It boggles the mind how they were able to decipher all of this, since sometimes a symbol represents a word, sometimes just a letter, sometimes nothing at all, but it's there as a support to clarify the meaning of the word. It's all just really cool. Also, do yourself a favor and sign yourself up to /r/and to Egypt for pictures, the most stunning pieces of prehistoric art. Our days as kids seemed longer because we often had new experiences, which the brain tends to save and keep as memories. As adults, especially with a routine, time seems to fly because of repetitiveness, as our brains don't want to record the same damn thing every time. There was a flightless bird bigger than the ostrich called an elephant bird. It lived on Madagascar and was whipped out by people about 600 years ago. That's not that long ago. Wax cylinder records. Before pressed vinyl, there were cylinders of wax that only held about 3 to 4 minutes of audio and deteriorated quickly enough that people could record other audio on them by shaving the wax down smoothly and re-engraving it with new audio. I'm fascinated with these things now that I've learned about them. Before wax cylinders, people used to record on tinfoil. I missed who exactly it was, besides some sort of COVID expert / doctor type person by me, but he was on the news today saying that one way they have shortened the COVID testing turnaround time, at least at the specific place he is at. Not sure how universal it is to take a portion of many samples and mix them all together and run the testing. If it comes out positive, then they test each individual sample from that batch, but if it's negative, then they know all of the tests that were mixed were all negative. It means they can test a whole lot more at once. That's how they test donated blood, to ensure it's disease free. Bears have 5 toes on each foot, of course. There is a difference between living a happy life and living a meaningful life. People who pursue meaning are more likely to be stressed, but people who pursue happiness are more likely to be selfish or narcissistic. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.